nothing but the dog in me.
Why must I chase the cat?
Good evening and welcome to Pound Posse Presents. I'm going to tell you, I am still on a Juno high. For those of you who missed the show last week, I had Juno from Juno's Place on, Juno and Mom, otherwise known as Deb Young. It was, I think, a pretty good time. I think they had fun. There have been plenty of wonderful comments from the people who have watched the show, and if you missed it, you can watch it on YouTube. There's plenty of pictures on Juno's Place. There's some pictures on the Pound Posse Presents page, in case you missed those too. And Juno will be at a book signing tomorrow in Massachusetts. And I can tell you, if you are within driving distance, and really, she only traveled an hour to get here, you really should go and try to meet her, because she is just a little love button. Like I kept saying, she's just too stinking cute. I couldn't stand it. And for some of the people who I work with that saw my pictures on Facebook, they're like, wait a minute, you were beaming. Where did the real Theo go? And what did you do with her, you know? But in any case, yeah, it was great. There have been fabulous comments, and I thank everybody who watched and did make a nice comment for those, because it makes me feel real good. You know, needless to say, the show was about them, but, you know, I can take like that backseat happiness out of, you know, people enjoying watching my show. Anyway, we've got some birthdays that we're a little backed up on, some of them. Belated birthday to Marie Marsh of Rescue Coco's page and a whole bunch of other involvements that she has. She's a sneak, and she doesn't post her birthday, and she lets it pass without anybody really knowing anything. And I wanted to kick myself when I realized when she posted something after the fact that it had passed, because I told myself I would not let it pass. So happy birthday, Marie. Marie is in England. She worries a lot and cares a lot and posts a lot about the dogs here in the States, in Connecticut. And, you know, she's a really awesome person. She's someone I consider a friend, even though I've never met her. And we'll probably never meet, because really I'm not going anywhere, and I doubt she's coming over here. So it's kind of one of those special things that the world of social media can bring about. You know, a lot of people form friendships and they've never met, and it's pretty cool. And Marie's one of those people. So belated happy birthday to you. And you can be mad at me later for bringing attention to it. It's okay, because you see, you got me, now I got you. We also have a belated birthday to our very own Zach in the control room. He is the lord of the board. He's waving. There were a couple of weekends where we didn't have shows, and one of them was because Zach was off celebrating his birthday, and nobody can hold that against him, because it was a real special coming-of-age type of birthday. So happy birthday, Zach. And this week, a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, Debbie Persia from Pet Playhouse, celebrated her birthday. So happy birthday, Debbie. Debbie's that kind of friend who is always there. She has a heart of gold, and I love her lots. So happy birthday, Debbie. And today is Alice and Leo's birthday. And I know Speedo knows Alice and Leo as well. She has been on the show. She's a friend and supporter of the show. And we're actually working on having her come back on. If you all remember her from any one of the shows that she did, but she did bring her Blackjack on, who unfortunately she did lose to cancer. She has taken in a new big boy, and we'd like to have him and her come on and talk about his story. So happy birthday to all of you, and hope that they were happy, they are happy, and you have many more. Now, I always tell you, you really need to protect your pets. And I mean that. Stealing pets has become very, very, very much more common than I think it once was. And again, social media brings that out to the forefront, because people start posting about it. There's a lot of lost and found pages and groups and networking, but it's really become much more prevalent than it once was. And what do people want? Why are people stealing your pets? What do people want with them? They're used for bait, which is, probably one of the worst fates you can ever begin to imagine. Fighting dogs is something that is really out there. It's not in my own backyard. It's not someplace else. It's here, there, and everywhere. And it's pretty far-reaching because, it's there. It's an evil, evil reality. So that's one of the main things that people will steal a pet for. And it's a horrible fate. These animals are ripped to shreds by these dogs training for fighting. And if they don't die from their injuries immediately, they're left to die, and it's an awful, awful way to go. Dogs are also, and cats, sold to labs for experiments, and you don't really want to know. Well, maybe you do, I don't know. You can't imagine what they do. They break bones over and over. They don't necessarily, take care of these animals. They sew them up, staple them, experiment on them. It's ugly as well. I don't know which I think is worse, is a life in a lab or being used for bait. It's painful, it's horrible. Sometimes they just want to experiment on how much a pain threshold is, and they don't medicate them, and they don't, it's not kind. So that's two of the big things that animals are stolen for. And other times they're just flipped. They're sold as pets. Let me steal your dog because it's a cute little purebred, and I'm sure I can get X amount of dollars for it on the market of someone who's looking for a pet. And it's, easy money. All they had to do was take your dog out of its backyard when you weren't looking. I saw an article on Facebook about a dog napping ring in Bridgeport. And that's kind of, you want to think that couldn't happen, or, it's being exaggerated. It's not. It's a reality. So please think again before you leave your pets unattended anywhere, whether it's in your car or it's in your yard. Very highly unnecessary, and it's a real risk. It only takes a moment for somebody to snag your animal, and they're gone. And who knows, they're gone forever to meet God only knows what kind of fate. And it's up to you to protect your animals. Apparently in this neighborhood in Bridgeport, 6 small dogs went missing. And one was returned after the owner paid a substantial ransom. And the people in the neighborhood are afraid to speak with the police because they're afraid of what's going to happen to their dogs. They're fearful that, someone's going to kill their dogs if they open their mouths. They want their pets back, and if they get them back, they're just quietly disappearing into the woodwork and letting whatever happen. So like I said, whether it's your car or your yard, it's just not a good idea. A window can be smashed in a heartbeat. You could go inside to answer your phone and leave your dog out in the yard, and it's gone. It takes a second for a car to take off, and even if you catch a glimpse of it, it may not even, could be a stolen car for all you know. So it's not gonna make a difference what you see or don't see, or get a plate or whatever. The world has changed, and it's not for the better. And you really have to be vigilant and do the best you can to keep your pet safe. Once upon a time, maybe it was more acceptable to leave your dog out in the yard. Maybe it was more acceptable to leave your dog out in the car where it was safe. But not in this world today. You really have to understand that there's dangers lurking out there. Like I always say, the monsters are out there, and you never know who they are or where they are. And when you want to talk about leaving your dogs in the car, if it's too hot, don't do it. If it's too cold, don't do it. And how about this thought? Just don't do it. Keep your pet safe. If you're going to take your pet for a ride, let it be that you're taking your pet for a ride. Be in the car the whole time with them. Don't decide you're going to go do groceries, you're going to go in to get a bite to eat, you're just going to go in for a pack of smokes or whatever. That's all the time it takes for something horrible to happen. And you'll have to live with that not knowing what happened to your animal for the rest of your life, and who knows what kind of end that animal might meet. So if you love your pets, think it through and just don't do it. Now, on another note, there are more and increasingly bizarre stories of animal abuse, and I don't know. There was a story, and it was posted on Facebook. In Nashville, 2 Chihuahuas were covered in plumber's glue and left to die. Now, of course, the glue hardened, and the dogs couldn't move. Now, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. A landlord found the dogs in an abandoned home and called the authorities. Now, they're going through an awful process trying to get the glue off. They've been trying to shave them. They may have to sedate them to do further shaving, because you can't imagine, there's not a lot to shave with a Chihuahua. It's not like it's a Shih Tzu, but that's having to shave pretty close to the skin, and I'm pretty sure those dogs are A, uncomfortable when it's happening, and B, not liking it as it's happening. It's got to hurt. Think about, if you had glue stuck to the hair on your arm and you had to try to get it off, that would hurt. To get a razor between the glue and the hair and the skin, pretty uncomfortable. So these poor dogs, there's pictures, and unfortunately the picture that I downloaded didn't take, blue all over, everywhere. And one of them's wrapped up in gauze. I'm pretty sure the skin is raw and irritated. So they're going through a lot right now trying to get all that off and to try to make those dogs more comfortable. Now, I don't understand. But the authorities, there's an active investigation. They are seriously trying to figure out who did this. They're saying that there may be juveniles involved, but juvenile or not, I can't imagine. I just can't. How do you think of this stuff? If these people are found, there could be felony charges, and I think that they should be glued, stuck to the ceiling, and let fall, and their skin rip, and whatever. That's just me. I'm pretty graphic about things when I get mad. Yeah, it's too kind, exactly. But, just going to jail, just going to court and having a slap on the wrist, that's pretty much what happens. And it's got to stop in this country. It really does. But, more so than anything else, I wonder, how do people come up with these ideas? Who sits around and thinks, hey, let's put some glue on a dog and watch it harden and leave them to die? Who just thinks of that? So many stories of abuse. There was a pit bull, somebody hacked off, it's a puppy, somebody hacked off its ears and cut off its leg and threw it out and left it to die. Really? There was another story of a puppy used for bait with open infected wounds everywhere, a fractured leg, and it's left in a box somewhere. If the passerby hadn't seen the dog's little nose sticking out of the box, who knows what would have happened. And all these animals who are being abused like this and left out in the cold. There have been so many reports of dogs freezing to death in yards, and somebody threw a puppy in a carrier and the thing died in the freezing cold. Come on, people. If you aren't going to help, at least don't harm. If you're not going to be part of the solution, don't be part of the problem. The things that I see on Facebook, a lot of them I share because people need to be made aware that these things are happening. It's all nice and fine and well to live in your bubble and not think about the horrors that are happening to animals. But awareness is key. Awareness is the key to trying to, if not stop it, at least spread awareness and try to make an impact on helping these animals. The things I see don't only make me sick and make me cry. They literally make me so ashamed to be a part of the human race. I can't, we're people, we're supposed to be better than that. So many people just bring us down, and I can't imagine that people would do these things to animals. If you want to do stuff to other people, it's not right either, but at least a person has a fighting chance. You're taking an animal that you can easily overcome and overpower and putting it at your will and doing horrible, horrible things to them and just leaving them to die. Stop. The nonsense has to stop, because until people start being kinder to animals, people aren't going to be kinder to people. I mean, that's for sure. But there's enough on the plates of people who are trying to save animals without dealing with all this. It's insanity. And I can't imagine the horrors that animals suffer and die from that we don't even know about. You know, just because social media puts it out there doesn't mean that there's not a whole lot worse going on behind the scenes. And really, on that note, I think that, you know, animal cruelty and animal abuse and all that should be punishable far more than it is, because people just get that slap on the wrist, and it's not right. Anyway, there's been a whole lot of hullabaloo over this Super Bowl Budweiser commercial. Some of the dogs in the commercial, some of the puppies are rescue puppies, some of the puppies are breeder puppies. Well, you know, I haven't watched it. I haven't yet watched it. I'm sure I will. It's out there already. You know, amazing how there's all the hype about the Super Bowl commercials and they leak them for people to see. You know, it's so much for keeping your viewership and the suspense and all that. But the breeder pups and the rescue pups were used, like I said, and the breeders are hating on the rescued pups. The rescuers are hating on the breeders. And, you know, it's just supposed to be a fun commercial. But unfortunately, it becomes like such a political thing. And personally, I have no love for breeders. Breeder is kind of just another word for puppy mill in my mind. What breeders might not yet realize, or what they might not get, that is that their papered offspring is simply the next generation of the dogs and pounds. You know, just because you sell a dog to someone who sinks a whole lot of money for your papered animal from your puppy mill, okay, because like I said, that's just all I think of it as. Those dogs may have a stop or two along the way, but the inevitability of being placed irresponsibly is still great. The dog can end up at the pound, and that will be its final destination, right alongside of the mutts and every other kind of dog, every other rescue dog that could be out there. You know, it would be really nice, I think, if Budweiser would send, in a future commercial, send the Clydesdale to a pound and have the Clydesdales pick out their next canine mascot. Now, that would be a good commercial. You know, a few years ago, they did that commercial with the dog Wego, and it was all, here we go, here we go. It was like really cute and really funny, but they had the dog fetching beer, which I really kind of I wasn't on board with. The dog was adorable, but I don't know about, it's like having a dog, it's like having your kid go get you a beer. I don't know how right that is either, you know what I mean? It was cute once upon a time, but maybe now not so much. But yeah, have the Clydesdales go to a pound, or go, you know, to go adopt their next canine mascot. I think that would be a really cool idea. And then the breeders will really have something to hate. You know, rescue dogs, in my opinion, are where it's at. Many of them have not had pampered lives, and they just want to love and belong and have a happy life and show you what they're all about. Some may have had a decent life, but in the end, that they were, you know, betrayed by the people who they loved, and they didn't deserve to. No dog deserves to die in a pound, and that's pretty much the inevitability. You know, the best thing you can ever do is get involved somehow, helping rescued dogs, no matter what your station might be, no matter what your involvement might be. Get involved. You know, if you're I say this all the time, if you're looking for a dog, consider a shelter dog. There are purebreds out there. There was just a Schnauzer in New London. There's more than just pit bulls out there. Unfortunately, pit bulls are prevalent because there's so much overbreeding by people who just clearly don't think about what they're doing. There's every kind of dog you can imagine somewhere in a shelter. You may have to drive a little bit. You may have to go out of your way, but it's worth it. Again, there's a difference between rescues and pounds, okay? They're all rescue dogs because anything that's adopted is considered a rescue. But if you go firsthand to a pound, that's where a lot of the rescues pull their dogs from. So a lot of them are all the same dogs. Rescues are more likely to take in owner surrenders than a pound. Unfortunately, the pound ends up taking the dog when it's been dumped in the street and picked up, like the dog catcher thing, They do have to go and pick up dogs that are reported as strays, and that's how those dogs often end up there. Some pounds take owner surrenders, some pounds don't. Most of them, I think it's pretty split, but the rescues actually will take in owner surrenders. The rescues will go to the pounds and pull dogs and give them a chance through foster homes. So, like I said, see what you can do to get involved to help the situation. Rescues are always looking for foster homes. If you see a dog in a pound and you don't want the responsibility for the dog, you can always contact a rescue and tell them that you have interest in the dog and you will foster it, and I'm sure that the rescue will pull it from the pound and be responsible for the dog. And you're saving a life. Like I always say, it's kind of like rent to own if you're afraid that, the dog might not fit in or you're not ready. Fostering is a long-term thing, but fosters are the critical key, the critical step between saving a life and having that dog die in the pound. If you can foster, you are doing the number one thing that you can do to help after adoption. People don't like to go to the pounds because they're going to be sad and all that. You know what? Get over it. If you're not sure of what kind of dog you want, of how to evaluate a dog, there's plenty of people who are out there who will go with you and help you choose a dog. I've done it. People I know have done it. You've got to know somebody somewhere that is dog savvy enough to be able to help you. And you can always reach out. If you need that kind of help, you can actually contact me through the Pound Posse Presents page, and I'll be happy to connect you with somebody in your area who can help you choose a dog. There's dogs in pounds in every city, and you can make that difference. If you can't do that, if you can't take a dog in one way or another by fostering or adopting, there are so many other ways. There are rescues that will take volunteers. There are some pounds that will take volunteers, walking the dogs, socializing the dogs, taking them to events, attending events, and just helping in any way you can. Some of these adoption events, you need to set up crates and, water bowls and make sure that they have potty breaks. There's all kinds of things you can do that are hands-on. If you don't want to do things that are hands-on, you can always find out what your local pound or rescue might need and help out in that way, as far as supplies go, because, everybody needs supplies. And there are wonderful organizations like Help Willie's Friends and Blankets and Bowls that do their best to try to provide, but the private sector is another way to help one way or another provide for the animals. And you can do something. You don't have to feel like just because you can't adopt or you can't foster, you can't do anything. So see what you can do to get involved. Even if you're just sharing these dogs on Facebook, it's exposure, and that's what they need. You might get mad. A lot of people get mad. They don't like to see all the sad posts of the dogs that are in the pounds and in the rescues, and oh boo-hoo, I don't want to see that stuff. And they certainly don't want to see all the cruelty stuff. But it's all part of it. But if you share, you're giving that dog a chance, or even that cat a chance for exposure that may actually save its life. So do what you can, however you can, and be part of the solution. And stop thinking that you can't do something. I realize I'm kind of on my soapbox and rambling right now. We're getting ready to wrap up. How much longer we got? Like 2 minutes? Yeah. Okay. Well, for 2 minutes. We're not sure how long we have. Hey, that's always good. Anyway, definitely, again, if you have any questions about how you can get involved, I can put you in touch with people pretty much all over the state, and you can find out locally or long distance what you can do to help. And my email address, if you want to contact me that way, is pawprints, PAWPRINTS 713 at AOL.com. You can get me on Facebook, Pound Posse Presents, and I'll be more than happy to point you in the direction, whichever way you might want to go to help these animals. And all you'll feel is good, like the old saying goes. All you'll feel is good. What was that from? I don't remember. Giving blood, maybe? I don't know. But consider this giving life. All you'll feel is good. And if you are somebody who has a foster pet that you would like to showcase, you can always feel free to contact me as well. Hey, bring your dog or cat on the show, and we'll try to give you exposure. If you've got a lost pet and you want to try to get that exposure as well, give me a shout. I'd be glad to have you on the show. Nate's in the room, in the control room, so I know we're winding down. We got credits yet? Time for credits? Yeah, we're not sure what we're doing here. Okay, well, we're not sure what we're doing here tonight, but that's all good. Next week, hopefully, if everything sticks, we have a friend of the show coming on, and I'm going to keep that a secret until next Saturday when I post. And we will meet a wonderful dog who has been through a lot and is now living large and in charge in her house. So hopefully that will all pan out. There's the credits, so here comes the hook, and we will say peace, love, and dogs. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out YouTube and watch the show with Juno.